Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne, a children's librarian here at the Manchester City Library, and I would like to welcome you to Elementary Experiments. Here we're going to do experiments and activities aimed at elementary grades 1 through 6 with a focus on STEAM, our science, engineering, technology, arts, and math. This spring, we're going to continue to have our in-person events at 3:30 p.m. on the second Wednesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month. We will also be putting up our videos at the same time as our in-person elementary experiments. If you would like to join our in-person activities next time, please visit our website and register. Registering for the event ensures that we have enough supplies for the activities and kits for everyone who attends to take home. Any extra craft kits we are going to put at the children's reference desk, and they will be available for anyone who wants to do the craft at home and is in the correct age range. Now that we have covered all that, let's get into this week's elementary experiments. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's elementary experiments, where we are going to be mini crafters and make tiny things that move in cool ways, and also learn a little bit about the science that goes into them. So our first one for our activity is actually going to be to make a homemade fidget spinner. Now, it's been a while since these were popular, but honestly, anything that spins is okay with me. And so we are going to try to put one together right here. Go ahead and gather your supplies and then meet me here for the instructions. For our fidget spinners, we are going to need a template. You can make your own, but you want to make sure that it is evenly spaced. That's very important for the eventual spinning. We also have some bits of thin cardboard. So these are kind of like cereal box cardboard width. We have our 3 pennies. These are going to be some weights to keep our fidget spinner spinning. We've got something to poke a hole with. I have an awl, which is a tool specifically designed to poke holes. If you don't have one of those, it's okay. But the smoother the hole that we make in this case, the better it's going to be for our fidget spinner. I also have some toothpicks here. So these are a round kind. You could also use skewers, but we do want a round dowel to go through the middle. So I'm going to use the toothpicks. I also have sandpaper to smooth any parts that need it, scissors, and also some coloring materials, which are optional. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take our template and cut it out, and then I'm going to have to find the middle. And how I'm going to do that is by folding this in half along all 3 of the little lobes here. So I will show you how to do that more specifically. Alright, so here we have our template. So what we're going to do is we are going to fold this in half. I'm also going to take this opportunity, I think, to trim it to make it a little bit more even. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it again along the next little lobe. And then the final one here. Okay, and then as you can see, that is going to show us where the center is. It's where all of these lines cross. And I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole in that center. And then I am going to take this and I am going to trace it onto my cardboard, including where the hole is positioned. Alright, so I drew out 2 just because we might want to layer them on top of each other for added stability, just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out and also punch the hole through. so here we have our sort of the base of our fidget spinner. Now what we are doing with these fidget spinners is we are kind of combating friction. Um, so the goal is to have them spin for as long and as quickly as possible. And the thing that slows down a spinning object is going to be friction, which is when one thing rubs against another thing, and that rubbing on the surface causes resistance and will slowly slow something down over time, or more quickly, depending on how much friction there is. And so the smoother something is, the less friction is created, right? So in a fidget spinner that you would buy from the store, they're going to use ball bearings to help everything go really smoothly. We are just going to put our fidget spinners on they're just going to go onto our toothpick here. So our hole does have to be big enough to go on our toothpick and to freely rotate. And another thing we want to look out for is when we poke our hole through, we can get like a little bit of like stuff that sticks up here. Yeah, I can't tell if you can see it, but like it's all the stuff that was in the circle. All of this cardboard was pushed through to the other side, and because it's not a hole punch, it didn't take that material out. It's just like sitting on this other side. So a way to reduce friction there is to trim it down so that we don't have or we have less of that extra like matter touching. And also to try and use our sandpaper if you want to get like really specific about it, to just sort of like try and smooth that space. Alright, so I did do these 2 layers of cardboard, but I'm going to test it out with just one to see how it functions, and then at the end I'm going to tell you whether I think that you guys should add that second cardboard. So before we get into the putting everything together, it is the decorating phase. So you can color and put designs on your fidget spinner. And the cool thing about that is that as it spins, it's going to like blend the colors and designs together, I think, in pretty cool ways. So if you've ever seen sort of spin art, it's going to create a similar effect as we play with it. I think I am going to use some paper and trace this again so that I can cover up the side of the cardboard that does have some markings on it, and then leave this cardboard the sort of natural brown, because I don't mind that, and do some quick coloring before we put everything together. Alright, so I've got my spinner, and I did put some color on the back because I couldn't stop myself. But part of the back is going to be covered up because we are about to attach our pennies, which are acting as our weights. So you don't necessarily have to use pennies, but we do want something to add some weight to our spinning lobes, because that is going to create some centrifugal force and keep our fidget spinner spinning longer than it would without them. So for this, we are going to want some strong glue. Now I have some hot glue, which is relatively strong. If you have an adult who can help you with some super glue, that's probably going to be even better. But I believe that hot glue will work. At least we will find out. Also, when you are gluing on your pennies, you want to get them as centered as possible, and kind of towards the end of your lobes as well. That will help with increasing the speed. Alright, here are my pennies attached, very shiny. Now we have to put in our middle part that is going to allow it to spin. Now, to do this, we need to find our tiny dowel, in my case, a round toothpick, and we are going to have to cut out two discs from our thin cardboard. They should be probably about the size of a penny, but it doesn't really matter all that much. You're just going to want to be able to hold them comfortably between your fingers. Alright, so I've got my two circles. So now we're going to put some holes into these. We want these to be smaller holes because we want them to kind of be right onto our toothpick. So in fact, I think I'm just going to try and make it with the toothpick itself. Maybe? No. Alright, just kidding. We're going to make it with us. Also, it doesn't have to be in the exact center like our other one did, because this is not the spitting part. So here is our wooden skewer. So I am going to, let's see, you can cut or glue first. I think I'm going to cut. Ooh. And then I'm going to secure it with my glue. Now we are going to put this onto our spinner and add our other side. Alright, and for this one, we want there to be some space in between, because remember, we are trying to avoid friction, but also we don't want our spinner to like wobble too much as we spin it. So we'll just leave a little bit of space in between, if you can see there. And then again, I'm going to cut first and then glue. Alright, I'm going to let that dry for just a little bit, and then we're going to test it out. Alright, so here we have our spinner. And again, we can decorate these bits if we want to as well. Or if I had made them smaller, then we could see more of our design as well. That's something that I kind of didn't think about. I remembered these, but I didn't really remember this was going to cover up the middle. But anyway, here we are. We have our spinner. Now we are going to see how it spins. Alright. Alright, not too bad. Alright, so again, what is going to slow this down is the friction, because the middle of our little skewer, our toothpick, is going to come in contact with the cardboard of our spinner base, as well as like our cardboard circles here will touch the different sides of our spinner as it moves. So all of those things do cause it to slow down. But it does still work pretty well. I think an additional cool experiment that would be good to do would be to take any extras that you have, like this second one that I made, that I really didn't end up using. This is actually strong enough to hold up, at least for a while. So I think it might be cool to make another one out of this without the pennies, just to compare the difference of how much does that weight actually matter. I'm not going to do that here on camera. I'll let you guys make that experiment on your own while you enjoy your spinners. Alright, I've got a little bit of cleaning up to do, but then I will meet you back here for our craft. Alright everyone, welcome to our craft portion of this elementary experiment, where we are going to be making a paddle boat by harnessing the potential energy that we are going to store in some rubber bands. So as usual with our crafts, you can pick up a craft kit from the Manchester City Library if you are in grades 1 through 6. Inside of this particular one, we have our instructions as usual. we have a square of, or a rectangle of cardboard. We have a couple of rubber bands, and we have some duct tape. What else we're going to need to make this work is going to be some sort of bucket of water to test our paddle boat in. We're going to need some scissors. We're going to need a pencil. You can use a ruler. This can be helpful, especially depending on how precise you want to make your boat. And you can also have a stopwatch if you would like to really test your boat or race against your friends. Alright, so what we gotta do is we have to take our cardboard piece and we have to shape it into a boat. So I'm going to take this slightly narrower portion. It's mostly a rectangle, but not the straightest. And I am going to trim it down into the shape of a bow, which is the front of the boat. Normally they come to some sort of like sort of triangle-ish shape. I'm gonna not quite make a triangle, but there we are. And this is going to help it move through the water because the nose portion will break the waves and make the water flow around the boat better. Alright, so this brings us to the most tricky part, or well, possibly the most precise part. This is where we have to cut out a square from the back of our boat. And the part that is precise is we want to make sure that we leave enough cardboard on the legs so that they will be strong enough to withstand the tension of our rubber band, right? This is where having your ruler might also be helpful so that you can make sure that your legs are about the same and to keep everything straight as you draw and then cut it out. So here is going to be my paddle piece. So I am going to trim it down a little bit because right now it's not going to move very much here. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller than our opening. All right. So here we have our pieces. Now what we want to do is we want to try and make our boat waterproof, or at least water resistant. Again, with our homemade items, they're not going to last forever, but we do want to be able to get through our testing phase. So that is where our duct tape comes in. In your kit, you should have some duct tape that has been rolled around a straw. This is all the duct tape that we have to give you, so be careful with it. Obviously, if you have your own duct tape or you have another kind of sealant that you think would work or maybe even work better, feel free to experiment with adults' permission when needed. But I'm going to go ahead and try and wrap my boat. Now I want to do it carefully. I want to get it as flat and smooth as possible. That is going to cause less resistance when it goes through the water, right? You can think of it also as a kind of friction, right? Because even though it is not like sandpaper on cardboard, it is still molecules running into each other and causing drag, causing the items to slow down. So the less friction or the smoother we can make this, the better it is. All right, so if I look at my duct tape, this is about so that if I put it down the half, it will be covered. And I definitely want to remember that I want to overlap my tape some and seal the edges. So think about these things as you are applying your tape. Also, I want to add that cutting duct tape will often leave a sticky residue on the inside of your scissors. So definitely don't use anyone's good scissors to cut duct tape. Make sure that they are a pair that nobody really cares about. Alright, just wanted to add that. Alright, so some lessons were learned. One is that I definitely need to make sure to put more duct tape in the kit, because even though I was able to cover our boat, I was not able to cover our paddle. So I am going to need to make sure that you guys have more. I am going to use some other tape that I have, so I'm just going to use some packing tape for the paddle, and that way we'll be able to see which one holds up better or if there's a difference in the short term. Also, I did find that when I got to the end of the duct tape on the straw, it was kind of hard to get off, so I did grab a little skewer to help me pull that tape off at the end. So that's just a tip for you guys if you are having trouble as well. So I'm going to try and cover this so it does not get soaked immediately, and we will see how it goes. So here I have my boat and my paddle. Now we're going to see if we can make it run. So I'm going to take a rubber band. You have two in the kit, but you only need one for the boat. It's just in case a rubber band breaks. So what you do is you put the rubber band over the legs at the back of your boat, and then you put the paddle in between. So when I cut it out, it went this way, but because of the extra bulk of the tape and such, I'm going to insert it this way so we'll be able to spit easier. And then we're just going to wind it, and then when we let this go, well, hope is that it would spin. So what I did was I actually made the rubber band shorter, so I tied a knot in it here, and I'm going to trim that off. Alright, we're going to try this again with a smaller a paddle. Alright, so that did take a little bit of trial and error, but we have discovered some interesting things even just with what I have done. First of all, we definitely need a smaller paddle that has plenty of space to turn rather than one that is just the right size. Also, a rubber band that is already stretched across is better than one that is looser, because the looser one winds up too much and gets caught with itself. So here, let me show you what I did. So I did it off screen, but what I did with the rubber band is here we have the big one, it's kind of loose. So what I did was I stretched it out, and you basically tie it like you would a balloon, right? So you wrap around, two fingers and pull through, right? If you need to, definitely ask someone to help you with that, and that will get you your rubber band at the right length to do your paddle. Finally, I think it would be better to do your testing in a slightly longer bin to see if we can get a little bit more distance with it. Unfortunately, this is the size that I have, and this is the size of my table, but hopefully you will find a better space to test wherever you are. I have to admit, my boat wasn't the most impressive thing I've ever seen, but it still shows that it can be done, and it can be done better. So I hope that you guys are able to do it even better than I did. Alright, I'm going to clean this up and wipe down my surface with my towel. Alright everyone, I hope that you enjoyed being a mini crafter this week at Elementary Experiments. I will remind you once again that you can pick up a craft kit while supplies last at the Manchester City Library for people in grades 1 through 6. I also want to say that this is the last Elementary Experiments of the spring, and we are going to go into summer reading next. So there will not be any more Elementary Experiments until June 25th. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap, and then during the summer, We are only having elementary experiments every other Tuesday, so we are not having our Wednesday dates. It is just on those Tuesdays. Um, we also have a whole bunch of other stuff happening, so if you are only able to come on Wednesdays, we are going to be having other summer reading programming happening then, so please check out our calendar and see what you are interested in. If you want to make any other mini crafts, I have some book suggestions here at the end. And until then, I wish you happy crafting and happy experimenting. Bye!